1% of dudes rapping, they ain't nice as me. 98% ain't live the same type of life as me. The judge gave me life and then they sent me where the life is be. That level 4 with depth and vice, the type of stuff they like to see. Two choices, fight or flee. I refuse to die a chump. I never been a mark, but damn, it's scary when that riot jump. I seen dudes cry, get pumped, and some sexually brutalized. Knew a dude who lost his life and he was only doing 5 year-long racial fights when homie all you do is ride. Lonely days and nights up in a hole causing suicide. From the moment you arrive, you see the Mexican mafia, AB skinheads with big giant swastikas, pro-black philosophers, the BGF, the Kumi, and Muslims who will murk you from the nation to the Sunni. That MS was loony, quick to ride up on they rival. Even Christians went to church, hide knives up in a Bible. Political and tribal, the Crips and Damus, the Long Beach, the Hubs and the Dubs and the Grooves, the IE, the Bakersfield, the Dago Pyrus, the hustlers quick to roll, the gangsters gon' move. Whatever click you choose, you better
Say, what's cracking, YouTube? It's your boy 16 to Life, and I'm back like I'm on a parole violation. You're down. Now, for those of y'all that's new to my page, in 1994, I got arrested. I was eventually sentenced to 16 years plus life, and I served 24 years straight in the California prison system. During those times, I accumulated some good stories. I'm going to drop one on y'all today. If you happen to like this video, be sure to hit that like button, leave a comment, subscribe, and most importantly, hit that notification bell. That way, anytime I drop a story, you will be notified ASAP, and you can hop on it whenever you're ready. Also, go to my YouTube playlist, and I have a lot of my different stories organized in categories, and you will definitely find something that you're interested in. Now let's hop right up into this story right now. So the other day, a couple days ago, I was talking to somebody about some of my prison experiences, right? And I happened to mention this dude who I ran across. I was at Salinas Valley. This was 1996 on the D yard. And so this dude, you know, I normally don't do this often, but for this story I will. This dude's real name, or his real nickname, was Flash. And I'm not 100% sure, but I'm relatively sure that he was claiming Avalon Gangster Crip, you know, which is a gang up out of LA. Also on that yard at that time, I remember there was a dude named Playboy. I forget exactly where. I think Playboy was from Avalon as well, but if not, he definitely was in the gangster car. And it was another dude too, also another dude by the name of Cartoon. I think Cartoon was from 8-7 Gangsters, if I'm not mistaken, right? And we play basketball and stuff. This was on Salinas Valley D yard. And so the upper yard, I believe it was. And so at some point in time, me and the dude Flash, since we played a lot of basketball together, we go to talking, and Flash happens to find out that I'm from the city of Bannon. Now, Flash at some point in his life had moved out to a city known as Lake Elsinore, which is in Riverside County. And he mentioned playing basketball in high school against some of my older homies, especially he remembered a dude by the name of Andre Stringer, who was real good at basketball and who actually later on ended up going and doing a lot of time in prison as well. But he had mentioned, you know, knowing Andre and playing against Andre in high school, right? So me and him had started talking at some point. And you know how when you're talking in prison, you may ask a person how much time you got or whatever, you know. Like I say, at this time, this is Salinas Valley. And later on, I began, whether right or wrong, began to assume that damn near everybody up there had life. This is 1996. The 3 strikes had just kicked in California. And you saw dudes coming to prison with astronomical numbers, you know, 95 to life. 75 to life, 150 to life, and sometimes for things as little as stealing a lawnmower, stealing a car radio. So it made my little 16 years plus life seem like it was nothing and extremely manageable, right? So we go to talking, and I happen to ask Flash how much time he had. And keep in mind, he's around my age, 25 years old, 26 at the time, man. And he told me that he had life without parole. And I'm just thinking like, damn, man, you know, when he said that, I'm looking around the yard, I'm thinking like, damn, man, this dude is going to be here without a doubt. You know what I'm saying? Because even if you have life, and even if there was a small chance of lifers being paroled back then, you at least have some small amount of hope if you happen to have life with the possibility of parole. But this dude had life without the possibility of parole, right? And so what was the kicker is he had took a deal. That was his deal. So imagine being caught up in a situation where you feel that your best option is to take a deal for life. So I asked him, I'm like, damn, man, that's not really no deal. You taking a deal for life without the possibility of parole. And then on top of that, in order to get that deal, he had to forfeit his future appellate rights, meaning that he did not have the option of later on appealing the sentence. And even with all these things tied into his case or tied into the deal, he chose to take this deal, right? I asked him, I'm like, damn, homie, why the hell would you take that? That's not a deal, And I can't remember exactly the specifics surrounding this case, right? But he either had killed 2 people or 3. Don't quote me on that, but it at least was 2 people, I believe, during a robbery. And so he was facing the death penalty. In California, when you commit a murder in the commission of another felony, anytime murder is committed in the commission of another felony, they call that special circumstances, and you're automatically potentially have a chance to get the death penalty. That's if the DA chooses to seek the death penalty against you, right? And so in his case, the DA was, I guess, saying that, yes, I'm definitely going to seek the death penalty in the event this case goes to trial. And so, he took a deal, man. He took a deal for life without the possibility of parole, and he forfeited his future appellate rights, pretty much meaning like he was stuck. And like I say, I'm thinking, man, that's not no deal. To me, man, I just would have went ahead and went to trial. Maybe they might not have gave you the death penalty, but if they did, there was always an option of at least appealing it, or always an option of laws changing and things like that. Because now the governor, I believe, he has put a moratorium on the death penalty, which basically means he has canceled the death penalty, right? And so now with these new laws coming into place, where if you happen to commit your crime under the age of 25, you may be eligible for early parole consideration or youth offender parole hearing. Now with him taking that deal, though, I don't believe that he's eligible, but I'm not 100% sure about that. But who knows? But so of course, I have to at least play devil advocate a little bit, or at least go into mind of some of my viewers, and they might be thinking, well, wow, this dude was out there. And I'm gonna say also too, to keep it 100 like I always try to do, I don't believe his victims were gang affiliated or gang members whatsoever. So he happened to go and kill some people who didn't have nothing to do with illegal activity, if my memory serves me correct, right? And so of course you're gonna have people out there that says, well, you know what, man, that dude is a coward because he was willing to take a life, but then when it was time for him to possibly lose his life, he chickened out and he took a deal, right? And I definitely can understand people who feel like that, right? Because in my mindset, right now, if you're out there gang banging, even though it was illegal, in my immature mind, it wasn't wrong because this is something that we all signed up for, And having that mentality also made it much easier for me to deal with my time, to handle being a lifer and stuff like that. One thing that really threw me for a loop is where you would have gang members who were in prison with a life sentence or in prison for a long time, and they couldn't handle their time. It's just like they was either crying about their time or they just couldn't accept it. I don't understand how when you hop in a lifestyle that potentially will lead you to prison, and then in the event you do get caught up and you go to prison, how can you not accept that when all the choices that you made clearly was up to you? So that was something that I couldn't understand, right? But like I said, people may not be able to grasp if they're not, in the streets, my concept of it was illegal, but I didn't feel it was wrong. And my reasons is knowing, of course, yes, if I get caught out here doing what I'm doing, I know that it's illegal and I'll go to jail. But like I said, I don't feel it's wrong when me and other individuals have voluntarily chose to enter this subculture of a lifestyle. And, if you're going to come and shoot at me under certain circumstances, then I have the same right to go back and shoot at you up under circumstances. But, one thing I learned much later too is and sooner than later, I should say, everybody's not committed to those principles and those beliefs, even though they claim to be before they happen to get the cuffs put on them, right? Once again, I always was against, the harming of people who hadn't basically dedicated themselves to that lifestyle, women, kids, even men. If a person wasn't in that lifestyle, I didn't believe in forcing my beliefs on him and making him, susceptible to the things that I wanted to do or things that I thought was cool, And so, it was just a jacked up situation, right? And like I said, now with all these laws changing and stuff, from time to time, I do wonder about him, because I know several dudes who either got life without parole or the death penalty that I was in the county jail with, and so we're in the same court, court tank, or in the same pod as we going through our journey, trying to figure out how much time we may end up with. And sometimes when I think about those dudes, I honestly feel blessed, because for those of you guys who may know, yes, I had 3 attempted murders and I got 9 years plus life. But then I also, when that altercation happened, I went on the run for a year. And so by the time I was apprehended, I was also charged with another murder. And the DA had said, if we find out there's another crime he is most definitely involved in, we're going to ask for the death penalty. We're going to ask for life without parole. So I definitely feel blessed, because I could have very well been in that same position. Initially, when I got found guilty and I was sentenced to 9 years plus life, the district attorney, one of my deals he had offered me was 25 years to life and to run consecutive to the 9 years plus life, meaning that if I ever was finished serving 9 years plus life, then I would have a fresh 25 years to life to serve, right? And so eventually he ended up dropping it down to a 16-year voluntary manslaughter. And really shout out to my homegirl, man, because she told me to take that time, because I didn't want to take it. I felt like, okay, you know what? I already got 9 years plus life. So what does another life sentence mean? But I went to court one day, and she happened to come to my court hearing, and they said, hey, if Mr. Willis doesn't accept this deal today, it's off the table. We're proceeding forward, and we're going to try to give him, life without parole or whatever, 25 to life or whatever it was, right? And so I didn't take it. Later that day, once I went back to the holding cell or got back to the tank, I called her. She was like, chill, I believe you really should have took that deal. You really should have took that deal. So the next time I went to court, I asked my lawyer, was it still on the table? And my lawyer was able to get it for me. And now look, I end up winding up coming home after doing 24 years. That also reminds me of, like I told you, when I was going to trial around this time, when I was going back and forth to court, that's when the 3 strikes law had just kicked in California. And initially it was supposed to be if you had 2 violent prior felonies, your third violent felony, you could get a life sentence. But somewhere along those lines, it got crossed up. And so your third felony that you committed, it didn't have to be violent. And so that reminds me of a dude who, he was facing 25 to life. And I don't know who this dude was. I happened to see him one particular day while we was going to court, as we're sitting in court up in that little box where they hold, the people in jail. So it reminds me of this dude. He was begging. And when I say begging, I mean literally begging. He was literally begging his lawyer to get him a deal for 20 years with 85%. The lawyer said, hey man, they're not offering any deals. He was like, okay, well tell him I'll take 25 years with 85%. The dude said, man, the district attorney is not offering you any deals. They're taking this to trial because they want you to have 25 to life. He said, okay, man, well, go back and tell them I'll take 30 years with 85%. So that means if he takes 30 years with 85%, he's going to do roughly around 27 years. And his lawyer said, man, what don't you get? They're not offering you any deals. So all of a sudden, this dude starts saying, Your Honor, Your Honor. And his lawyer's telling him, his public defender is telling him, hey, man, be quiet. Your Honor, I want to talk to you, Your Honor. I want to take a deal. So his lawyer, the judge told him, wait your turn and blah, blah, blah. And so eventually, when they called him to go up there and go through the proceedings with his trial, he was telling the judge that his lawyer is not trying to get him a deal, and he wants to take a deal. His lawyer stepped up and spoke and said, hey, well, I spoke to the district attorney. the district attorney is not presenting us with any deals. They're not willing to negotiate on this particular crime. Then the district attorney spoke up, said, no, we're not giving any deals or whatever. We want to proceed to trial because they wanted this dude to get 25 to life. And so, like I said, it just reminds me of when that dude was in there literally begging for 27 years, you know. So he obviously had been in trouble before, you know, a little familiar with the court system, and he felt that he was going to be found guilty. I never seen him again and never found out what happened to him, so I don't know. But, you know, we got to think about these situations sometimes. You know, I know a lot of times people like to hear the stories with the fighting and the violence, but at the same time, it's always more to it than that. You know, we have to understand about the lives that we're affecting, you know, other people's lives, because of course you have people in the comments sometimes saying, man, you guys are crying about doing time, but what about the people you harmed, or what about the people you killed? And I get it, you know, and so we have to definitely think about that. And then we have to also think about hurting our family and the people who care for us and things of that nature, right? So it definitely makes sense, you know. And for those of us who are out there caught up in this lifestyle, I agree with you, right? You can definitely say that it takes an extremely selfish person who's willing to take something from somebody that he doesn't want taken from him. And in this account, we're talking about, you know, life. Like I said, a person's life. The dude Flash, he was willing to go in there and kill people, but he didn't want the state of California to kill him, and so he took a deal for life without parole. And that applies to a lot of us, myself as well, you know. So we definitely have to think about that, man. But anyway, I just thought that I'd come and do that video today about the dude who took a deal for life without parole, and then on top of that, forfeited his future appeal rights. So he's pretty much stuck, you know. Anyway, you already know what it is. It's your boy 16 to life. Resume normal program.